just the introduction of that knowledge, just that much awareness that there is something inside you, and this is the method to find it. The method does not involve adding more ideas, adding more thoughts. It involves silence, it involves stillness. It intuitively hits him because that is what he has been trying to do in his own life, to step away from noise, to connect with something simpler. It could be as simple as the decisions that he has made in his life to step away from noise and chaos. The choices that he has made, the people he wants to be with, the work that he wants to be associated with, the decisions he has made that has allowed him to be free. That is what makes him superior, because he has already made some important, difficult choices that has freed him from the entanglements of life. And then there is the mediocre man who is somewhere in the middle. He has not yet detached himself from the ego. He has not yet recognized the ego as something separate. But he has recognized at a certain level the futility of feeding the ego. There are individuals who recognize that whatever it is that the mind is pursuing, the desires of the mind, even if it were to accomplish those desires, even if it were to get all it is searching for, still there would be something missing. They don't know what that thing is. They don't recognize it as their own true self. They don't see it as the end of the ego. So in a way, they don't have the solution, but they recognize the problem. They can see something is not right in the way they have arranged their lives, in the way the society has arranged itself. They see the illogical, dogmatic beliefs of their religion. There is the crowd, there is the ego that wants to identify with the crowd, that wants to be a part of the religious belief system, that wants to be a part of a collective thinking, but something has awakened inside that individual that has made him skeptical of the collective. He does not identify himself with the crowd, but he cannot stand alone. He cannot move away from the crowd because he does not know where to go. He is in a state of discomfort. Not because he is totally lost in the ego, but because he has identified the futility of the ego. This is a man who has accomplished something in life to see the pointlessness of it. This is not a totally ignorant man who has lived his life unconsciously. He has pursued the dreams. He has pursued the worldly goals. He has been a part of his religious community. He wanted to connect and understand. He is not a born rebel. He was a conformist at some point in time in his life. He wanted to belong. But through his experiences, he came to realize that there is something missing here. Just by observing himself, observing people, he's able to make the connection. Why aren't people happy? It's not only those I recognize as failures, the so called successful ones are also miserable. And if I observe more keenly, they are more miserable. They have more fears. They are more uncertain about themselves. This is not the way for happiness, for peace, for contentment. This is the mediocre man. He has recognized the problem, but he has not picked up any method, any practice, any system through which he can recognize the ego. He still fully identifies with the ego. He still has trouble differentiating between his inner voice and the voice of the ego. It's all muddled, it's all confusing, but he is somewhat ready for something new. His skepticism gives him an opportunity to at least be open enough to contemplate on something new. So when such a man hears of the truth, he half-heartedly practices it. He tries. He makes an effort. There is a possibility of him eventually understanding. Because at least there's that much openness where he can contemplate on the idea. He can compare it to all those things that have made him skeptical and see that even if he approaches meditation, mindfulness with total skepticism, there seems to be something natural about it. Because it is not an idea imposed from the outside. It is not another worldly goal. At least that much he can see. And he can find examples of individuals who have pursued such a path and who have reached to a level of deep certainty and contentment. So he entertains the idea. Why does he not jump in fully and commit to it? Because he's still listening to the ego. He's still not fully open. And then there is the inferior man. The moment he hears of the truth, the moment he hears that he is something more than the mind and the body, he is not just limited to his mind and body, he laughs. It is not him who is laughing, it is his ego. There is absolutely no separation between him and his ego, and he doesn't even know it. His ego has no way of accommodating such information because ego is just a pure collectivity. It identifies with the mob. How can an ego that fully identifies with the mob see itself as something above the mind and the body? An individual, to see himself as something more than the mind and the body, he only has to look at his own mind and body, his own ideas, his own thoughts and desires, and see the separation between him and his thoughts. But for a man who's fully identified with the collective, with the crowd, he has to see himself separate from the entire human community. His mind would laugh at the idea that says your entire religious community, all the millions of people, billions of people who are following a particular idea, who believe that that is their way to salvation, they are all stupid. The ego laughs. How can so many people be stupid? You are stupid to bring me this new knowledge to me. Why? Because I fully identify with the stupidity of the crowd. I am that. I am the ego. I have no way to accommodate something that speaks to me as an individual because I have not identified the individual yet. I am just a collection of ideas. I am just what I have been told. I am just the voice of the people around me. I am dogmatic. I am blind. I have not asked for proofs. I have not inquired into the nature of reality. I have simply accepted whatever that was given to me. So if I was born a Hindu, I have a Hindu mind. And I believe in the Hindu religious beliefs fanatically, blindly. If I was born a Christian, I have Christian beliefs. I don't even know that me being a Hindu or a Christian or a Muslim is purely a chance. I did not choose it. It simply happened just by the virtue of where you were born, the kind of belief system that you were introduced to, you identified with it. Then how can it be yours? How can you call yourself a Hindu, a Muslim, or a Christian? Because you didn't choose it. And you don't even know what is it to be any of that. Those are all ideas totally alien to life and reality. Those are concepts, imaginary theories with no basis in reality. Now, if you are identified fully with all those things, that clearly shows that you have not yet recognized that you are an individual. Individuality is not a given. It is not your reality. You have to work towards it. You have to understand it. You are born as a pure possibility, but very quickly, as a process of growing up, you become the collective because that's your survival mechanism. You cannot remain individualistic and survive. Otherwise, you will be questioning everything. You will be questioning the food you eat, you will be questioning the air you breathe, you will be questioning your mother, your father, right from your birth. And if you are individualistic right from your birth, survival becomes hard. That is why you simply accept. That is why self-consciousness comes much later. Once the basic survival is taken care, that is when self-awareness comes. In fact, self-awareness is a growth from the collectivity. Initially, you just want to survive, so the idea of you is immaterial for survival. You don't need to recognize yourself as a distinct, separate individual to survive. But once the basic survival needs are taken care, once your awareness is shifted away from the immediate needs of survival, you start contemplating on other things.